The kid was online making threats. The kid was online talking about shooting up a school. There were cries for help. There were flags. The school knew. The sheriff's office was warned. The FBI was involved. The parents were involved. There's a whole village of people who were wildly irresponsible, who absolutely did not handle this young man.
I don't like that either. Because now you're blaming the whole society
Right.
because the kid did something. It's like, so here's the thing. Like, I think everybody, from what I understand, they did their job about as well as they could. He made the threats on Discord, I think. Somebody on Discord reported, say, hey, there's a crazy dude here, might shoot up a school. Reported to FBI. First off, kudos to that person, whoever did that. Because a lot of people just, talk crap on and nobody does anything. But somebody took initiative. So thank you to whomever did that. They told the FBI. FBI figured out the IP address, figured out where that computer came from, sent the information to local authorities. Local authorities send out police officers to the house to talk to the people, and they informed the school district saying, hey, this kid, saying some questionable stuff online, but the thing is, you can't, like, what are you going to do? Lock the kid up because he said something on Discord? A lot of people say random things, but you can't really, though. You can't do that. So I feel like, he told the father, like, if anything, maybe the father could have been more careful given all of that. So if anybody lands on the father. But like, to be like, oh, well, everybody dropped the ball at school. Just like, what are you supposed to do? Kick him out of school? You can't kick him out of school. He has to be at school. You can't arrest him before he does a crime. Like, there's not much they could have done better. Like, it's not like everybody was incompetent. And to me, it's like the kid just did a crime. And that's about it. I don't know what they could have done better. Besides the father, maybe.
I think if you get, this is where, again, like, I'm with you on children having more responsibility. And this is where I would be more strict with children. And this is where it's just like, if, to me, knowing that all of these entities were involved before that happened, I think that does show a failure of our system. It's just like, if that many entities were involved before any incident.
But what can you do, though? What can you do?
I mean, if you have a threat like that, you remove him from school. To me, in that situation, what a district should do is especially if you get that many entities involved and you have a threat like this, what they should do is they should say, we're going to remove him from school because of the threat. And then we're going to still, like, the district should still be responsible for teaching him, whether or not they send like one teacher out to teach him lessons, or maybe they give him online school. Yeah. But I think you remove him from school for the threat alone until you can confirm. And then, like, you just, even for the threat, and once you have proof of it, even for the threat, there's just like a guaranteed 90-day period of just investigation. And because of that period, you got to be homeschooled. Like, you got to be away.
This is beginning of the school year, right? So I think that, like, this is like later on. Like, this is like the next school year or whatever. I don't know when he was, but like, it wasn't like recently. It was like earlier, if I understand correctly, that they had this tip. I mean, yeah, they have to be schooled. I mean, yeah, you can kick him out and say you have to be homeschooled or whatever, maybe. But the kid denied it. He denied posting it. But, it was him. It sounds like. But to me, like, it sounded like they did that because you can't arrest him before they do a crime.
Right.
Especially, for somebody said in the chat room, because, like, I'm sure there's plenty of cases where, like, in jokes or whatever, I'll kill you. Even if it's just a video game, I'll kill you in a video game, right? There's a bunch of things that, now, this didn't say I'm going to shoot the school, right? That's the whole
right. I mean, right.
But yeah, like, to me, like, if he didn't do a crime, I really, it's hard for me to blame the authorities. I understand what you're saying about, like, hey, let's take him out. Anybody who's even talked about shooting up a school is ineligible to go to school.
Right.
I can understand that. But, like, if that's not currently a law, then there's nothing they can do. Right. So if anything, that may be, the legislation may need to pass more strict stuff. Right. But, like, I don't know. I can't say that anybody in particular dropped the ball. Maybe we could say the law should be more strict against threats like this, maybe.
Right. That would be my approach.
Yeah.
And with care. They all got blood on their hands, but only one person is going to jail for it, and only one person is potentially being tried as an adult.
Yeah, no, I don't like that. They all got blood on their hands. That's not what you mean. Like, everybody got the whole school district. Like, are you basically equating his murder with everybody who is involved in doing it?
That's wrong. Yeah, that's excessive.
Yeah, talking about people's brain being developed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hated that as a kid, man. I really did.
Who's a kid, and that is this young man, Colt Gray. I don't got no tears for Colt Gray. This isn't me caping for a white boy. This ain't me caping for a killer. This ain't me caping for a monster. I don't lose an ounce of sleep at night thinking about what might happen to this kid who just killed 4 people, 2 students, 2 teachers, and injured 9 others. But even though I'm angry at him, and even though I have no regard for him at the personal level, I still believe in justice. And I still believe in fairness. And I still believe that our system is only as good as those moments of weakness, as those moments of contradiction, as those moments of difficulty. It's easy to treat people well when there's nothing at stake. It's easy to make the tough decision when it's somebody you don't care about in terms of the victim, right? But when it's your people, or when the story's so tragic it makes you cry, what do you say about the shooter then?
Now, I respect his principles, right?
Same.
I respect that. If he's saying,
Same.
like, look, I never want to try children as an adult, and even though this is heinous, and even though I don't like him, even though I don't like him personally, I'm going to stick to these principles. I respect that.
That's a principle position. I respect it. I respect it as well.
Now, I'm not saying that we should give him a pat on the head and send him home. It sounds like he needs mental health treatment. It sounds like he might need to be pulled out of.
I don't like that whole mental health thing either. I feel like every time somebody like does a bad thing, they be like, "Oh, it's mental health." Like sometimes you got bad people. Like sometimes
That's true.
it ain't a mental. It ain't like, oh, he's schizophrenic or whatever. Sometimes you just a low character, low quality human being, and that just is what it is. Like not every bad person is sick. You know, you just bad.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think there should be an assessment though, like at minimum, like you know what I mean. Like
Yeah,
we're
do an assessment. But I feel like everybody assumes that, oh, well, because he did this, it must be mental health. Like, how about he just might just be bad, you know, like, you know, angry or whatever, right? Now, or he could just be psychopathic. If he's psychopathic, I mean, maybe that's a mental health thing. Now, it's hard to fix that. Psychopathy, from what I hear. But yeah, I don't like, because whenever you do that, I feel like it justifies a whole lot. It's like, oh, it's like writing it off, you know, like for instance, like another thing I don't like, a lot of boys, and maybe girls too, but a lot of boys, like when they have trouble in school, they're like, oh, well, he must be ADHD, you know, he had a hard time focusing.
Yeah,
it's like,
no, I don't like that.
Yeah, so now you just making an excuse for him not focusing because of, you know, ADHD. Like maybe he does have it, but like by default, I'm like, get your act together,
Right.
You know, I'm not about to. Anytime you run into a problem, I gotta blame something else. Oh, it must be mental health. Oh, it must be ADHD. Oh, it must be. How about it must be you? How about that? How about?
Yeah, I don't like that. I mean, even for number one, African American children are the most that are disproportionately affected by ADHD diagnosis. But like, it's one of the only things where doctors are not observing the patient to diagnose that. They're going off of the parents saying, right. The parents saying he runs around too much, he has too much energy, he has problems focusing in school, and they're not like, the doctors aren't getting really any opportunity. They're just going off of what the parents are saying or what the teachers are saying, and that's just like, I don't like that. I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
Society and given care and treatment and investment. It also sounds like he needs mechanisms of accountability. I'm not just saying give him a hug either. What does accountability look like outside of a carceral logic? What does accountability look like when we try to actually fix the problem instead of taking a 16-year-old boy who's clearly been traumatized, clearly been harmed, probably been abused, probably been radicalized with racist ideologies, probably had all this stuff happen.
I don't like him just making up all that.
Yeah, that's a lot of assumptions.
Yeah, why you just make up everything and just like you just gave him the free pass again, just assuming that it must be something else instead of him.
Yeah, that's not okay.
Him, and we're going to ignore all of that and just stick him in a cage for the rest of his life or kill him. No, is that an answer? And here's the thing. Here's why I say that. I said the same thing about Dylan, with another monster who killed a bunch of people. If we allow the state to treat them this way, which is 1 in a million, what do you think they're going to do to your cousin? What do you think they're going to do to your brother?
They already been doing it.
What do you think they're going to do to the vulnerable? You see, when you cheer on the death penalty or an adult sentence for a 14-year-old kid now, what do you think they're going to do to black boys and girls who they already think are grown? They don't even think black people can have or be children. They see us as short adults, not as children. They see us as people who are already.
He said, we can't even be children. We come out boom, 18 years old.
He's right. It could be justice.
I don't like the slippery slope argument. I feel like a lot of slippery slope arguments are like that. They'll be like, well, I know this is reasonable here, but what if it eventually gets unreasonable? It's like, then we'll deal with that then. You know?
Right. Let's deal with it in its proper context.
Right.
I'm right there with you. I hate when people put the extreme case on your average and then try to assume the extreme case in every instance. I'm like, that's not what you should do. We should deal with this context, and then once something crazier comes or that's more extreme, then we'll deal with that context. It's just like,
yeah.
Already grown. They don't give us the capacity to be innocent or to make mistakes or to be undeveloped. But the fact is, again, the undeveloped brain of a teenager is for everybody. So if you cheer on this 14-year-old boy being tried as an adult, just wait until something happens to somebody you care about. For every white boy they do this to, it's going to be 1,000 Negroes they do this to. And it won't be fair then, just as it's not fair now. So even if you don't care about white people, even if you don't care about this young man, even if you want vengeance against this young man, be practical and pragmatic and say it's going to come out of the flesh of us. We got to be mature, even in a moment of pain, especially in a moment of pain and tragedy. We got to be able to be mature ethically, mature morally, mature politically to make a different choice, y'all. Abolition ain't easy. It ain't all flowers and roses and hugs. Sometimes you got to make tough choices, but you also need to demonstrate a moral consistency of those choices.
So yeah, we can close it there.
Yeah, I think he is. I think we got most of it out in the beginning, right? I think I respect his principles. I don't agree with the outcome.
Yeah, exactly. I like his principles. I like hey, even when it's hard. Now, I thought it was weird. He called us Negroes there. I'm like, what, we in 2024? We're talking about abolition? What are you talking about?
No, I don't know much about that. Yeah, I got to see what he's talking about when he's saying he's an abolitionist and all. I don't know too much.
Yeah,
I know Mark is an interesting dude.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm like, ain't abolitionists? Ain't that like hundreds of years ago? What are you talking about?
Yeah, I have no idea. But I respect his principles. I respect that like your morals and principles are tested in the extremes.
Right.
And like you want to be consistent in that times, and even if it's against like your group or if it's it's an extreme situation, I like those principles. I'm right there with him in that regard. I don't agree with the outcome as it relates to Georgia and their state law, and I think like again, I think it's similar to abortion, to where I think most people would agree that in age is reasonable. Like I think there is an age at which we think that teenagers should reasonably be tried as adults. And I think 14 is relatively close. I think you're going to be getting around that age. So like number one, teenager to like puberty. And so like it's a thin line, but I don't agree with his outcome, but I do respect principle.
I second that.
Like that is, and like his heart, I think is in the right place, and that's where I can respect it. It's just like now people do bad things with their heart, have a good intention. I think religion is an example of one, but I think he is. I don't think he's in a unreasonable place, even as it relates to rehabilitation. I think he was more so focusing on that relative to punishment. And
yeah,
I think
I like that he has the principles. I just disagree with him in terms of like I feel like he just assumes that because the kid is 14 it must be everybody else's fault. It must have been society's fault.
Right. Yeah.
He probably had this happen. He probably had that happen. Like, I ain't just making stuff up. You just
Yeah.
straight cold making stuff up to just give him, to write it off as like okay because. But again, I can't criticize it fundamentally because there's a certain age that even both of us would agree, right? If the kid was
Absolutely.
3, then yeah, we probably write it off too, right? But for him, he goes all the way up to 18. But yeah, for me, I start treating him as a dog way
Pretty
younger
early.
than most people would. Yeah.
I think I'm like, man, I think 10 is a little too close. I think, but there's a number. There's a number. I think 10 is a little too early. Personally, I think 13, between 12 and 15, I think is a reasonable area.
And I
That's
think
my
that depending
personal.
on the crime you do as well. It's just different.
Right.
Like
Right.
if he just went and stole a bag of chips, don't try him as an adult. That's fine, whatever. But like you start doing some heinous, premeditated stuff. At a certain point, I gotta lock you up, and I gotta hit you with the book at a certain point.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Just like you said, I don't think everything is mental health. Just like you said, some people are just bad people. Some people just genuinely want to do bad things, and those are the people that deserve to get hit with that book.
Yeah, and those people are rare. Honestly, I would guess he's probably more of the hurt and angry type. Maybe life, didn't have many friends. Bad home life. Maybe could have been better. I think most people are like that. I don't know in person, but I think most people that do stuff like this, they're not psychopaths. They're not like pure evil.
Right.
These people could have been good members of society had they been in a different context, a different environment. So since I think most people are like that, I would assume that he might be too. Of course, need to hear his case and let him go to court. But I think most of them can be. There's light that could have been reached within him. So most people aren't like that. Really dark, pure evil. Psychopathic maybe angle. But still, at a certain point, you do too much bad stuff. I can't just say, oh well, he's 15, so let him out in 3 years.
No. I'm
right
there with you.
Then he's gonna be on the streets.
Right.
Right.
Like, yeah, as soon as he gets out, no skills, no understanding of how to integrate back into society. It's just like, as soon as society has moved on 20, 30 years, it's just like, yeah, he'll come out and be on this, unless he was doing
And one final thing I remember, there was another white kid. One final thing I want to say here. There was another white kid who was a psychopath, and it was, I think, Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan interviewed him. When he was young, he basically was mad at his mom. And so, like, he basically convinced the babysitter to go home early and then stabbed his little baby sister. She was probably like, I don't know, like 4 or 3 or something. He was probably like 8 or something. Had his baby sister go home early, stabbed his sister to death, called the cops, acting like he, without a good plan maybe he was 8. He didn't have a good plan to say why he just killed her. He acted like he was the victim too. They were like, but you the only one here. So yeah, he stabbed, but the reason he killed her was because he wanted to get back at his mom. He's like, he's the worst thing I could take both of your children away from you by killing my little sister, and then now I'm a monster, and that's why he did it. And I remember he was interviewing this guy. He's probably now he's been in prison. He's probably like almost 30 or something like that, and he's trying to like get back on the street. And it's like this dude, if you look at him, like this dude is, he is a psychopath. This dude is built different. I'm like, no, I don't want him out here. Nope.
Yeah.
Keep him in here.
I gotta see that. I gotta see that interview because that sounds interesting. Because just like you said, as it relates to psychopaths and
he was like 8
sociopaths,
years old. He was real young.
yeah,
Like, he knifed his sister to death, premeditated, planned everything.
yeah, that's different.
This dude was brutal.
That's different. I'm interested. If you can send me that, I'm interested in taking a look. But that's just interesting.
Yeah, I'll find that, send it to you.